You are the voice of fear itself. Imagine for a moment that you're alone on a dark street, the wind whispering secrets no one else hears, and suddenly someone you love simply vanishes. No traces, no goodbyes, just a void that swallows everything. And what if I told you this isn't just a nightmare, but something that really happened over and over, leaving families shattered and the world trembling with unanswered questions? Welcome to 3 real and sinister disappearances that still remain a mystery. Stay until the end, because what you're about to hear might change the way you look at the shadows around you. Let's start with the first case, one that echoes like a muffled scream in the frozen mountains of Russia, where 9 young souls disappeared on a night that time can't erase. It was February 1959 in the Ural Mountains, a place where winter devours everything weak. A group of experienced skiers, led by Igor Dyatlov, set out on an expedition promising adventure and glory, but what they found was something much darker. Imagine the air cutting like blades, the snow falling like a white veil hiding secrets, and the silence broken only by the crackle of an improvised campfire. They set up camp on the slope of Kolatsiakal Mountain, which the natives call the Mountain of Death, a name that now carries the weight of a prophecy. Their diaries spoke of laughter, plans for the future, of a camaraderie that warmed more than any fire. But in the early hours of February 2nd, something awoke them, an invisible terror that made them tear the tent from the inside out, fleeing barefoot into the freezing darkness. Feel their panic, hearts pounding against their chests like war drums, feet sinking into snow that burns like icy fire. They ran, without coats, without boots, as if hell were chasing them. When rescue teams finally found them weeks later, the bodies were scattered, some with injuries that defy logic. Fractured skulls without external marks, ribs crushed as if by a superhuman force, and a woman without a tongue, as if something had ripped it out while she was still alive. What could have terrified them so much that they preferred death by cold? An avalanche? But there were no signs of one. An internal fight? The bodies showed no struggle, or something worse, something the Mansi natives whisper about ancestral spirits punishing intruders. A Soviet investigator, years later, wrote in a confidential report, "The cause of death was an unknown compelling force," a phrase that still echoes like a forbidden whisper in dusty archives. And the mystery persists, growing like a shadow lengthening at dusk. Theories speak of secret military tests, UFOs that lit up the sky that night, or even a Yeti that left impossible footprints in the snow. But nothing explains the terror etched on their frozen faces. Nothing fills the void left by those 9 lives swallowed by the mountain. As you listen to this, feel the chill creeping up your spine. Imagine if it were you there, running to nowhere, and ask yourself, what really killed them, because to this day, no one knows. You are the voice of fear itself. Now, let's delve into the second disappearance, one that floats like a ghost in the turbulent seas of the Atlantic, where an entire ship became an empty shell, carrying secrets that the waves still murmur. It was December 1872, and the Mary Celeste sailed from New York bound for Genoa, loaded with industrial alcohol and a crew of 11 souls, including Captain Benjamin Briggs, his wife Sarah, and their 2-year-old daughter Sophia. Imagine the rhythmic sway of the ship over the dark waters, the salty smell of the sea mixed with the strong odor of the cargo, and starry nights where dreams of a new life danced on the deck. The captain was a devout man, logging every detail in his diary, and his family was the beating heart of that journey. But on December 4th, another ship, the Dei Gratia, spotted the Mary Celeste adrift, sails billowing in the wind, but with no single sign of life on board. When the sailors boarded, the air was heavy, as if the ship were breathing a deadly secret. The breakfast table was still set, with half-full teacups, as if everyone had gotten up mid-conversation and simply evaporated. The lifeboat was gone, but there were no signs of struggle, fire, or shipwreck, just a deafening silence, broken by the creak of the planks. Feel the shiver as you imagine Sarah holding her little daughter in her arms, perhaps singing a lullaby to calm her while something invisible approached. The captain's log stopped abruptly at an entry that said, "At 5 a.m., sighted land," but there was no land nearby. Theories bubbled up like foam in the ocean. Mutiny? Pirates? A storm that forced them to abandon ship prematurely, or something more sinister, like toxic gases from the cargo that drove them mad, making them jump to their deaths in the cold waters. An article from the Atlantic Monthly in 1884 speculated, "What happened aboard the Mary Celeste is a mystery that the sea keeps to itself, an enigma that defies human reason." And so it remains, a ghost ship sailing in our minds, leaving us with the echo of lost childish laughter in the wind. As you visualize this, feel the sway of the sea in your stomach, the dread of a void that swallows entire families, and wonder if the ocean really gives back its secrets, or keeps them forever in its dark depths. You are the voice of fear itself. Your narration must be tense, dry, and chilling, like a whisper echoing in the dark. Deliver each line with weight, as if every word hides something unspeakable. Do not rush. Let silence work as part of the fear. Your tone should feel unsettling, almost unnatural, as if warning the listener of something they cannot escape. Every pause should feel like a heartbeat before the terror strikes. Keep the listener on edge. Never safe, never comfortable. The third and final disappearance takes us back to land, but to a place where American history intertwines with the inexplicable. an enigma that began in 1587 in the Roanoke colony on the coast of North Carolina. Imagine an isolated island surrounded by dense forests and treacherous swamps, where 117 English settlers, including women and children, tried to build a new world. Led by John White, they raised rough wooden cabins, planted seeds in the damp earth, and gave birth to the first English child in the New World, Virginia Dare, a symbol of hope amid the unknown. The air smelled of fresh pine and sea salt, but also of fear. The Croatan natives watched from the shadows, and supplies were running low. White sailed back to England for more provisions, promising to return soon, but wars and storms delayed him for 3 long years. When he finally anchored back in 1590, the colony was empty, as if the wind had swept it away into nothingness. The cabins intact but soulless, tools abandoned mid-work, and carved into a tree the word Croatan, like a final whisper from a lost people. Feel White's despair, running through the deserted village, calling for his daughter Eleanor and granddaughter Virginia, the echo of his voice lost in the ancient trees. No signs of struggle, disease, or forced migration, just silence. Theories abound, assimilated by the natives, massacred in secret, or something darker, like famine that drove them to cannibalism, or supernatural forces that dragged them into unknown dimensions. A 19th century historian, in a preserved letter, wrote, "Roanoke is the cradle of mysteries that America has yet to unravel, a reminder that the wild land devours the imprudent." And to this day, excavations reveal artifacts, but no answers, leaving us with the ghost of Virginia Dare, a girl who never grew up, wandering in legends. As the tension rises within you, imagine if those settlers are still there, somewhere beyond the veil, waiting to be found.
You are the voice of fear itself. And now, as these stories settle in your mind like thick fog, I reveal something that ties them all together. They're not just disappearances, but portals to the unknown, where the real merges with the impossible, leaving us questioning if the world is really what it seems. Perhaps the true terror isn't in what vanished, but in what might be watching us, waiting its turn. Do you believe that forces beyond human comprehension stole these lives? Have you ever felt that chill of something invisible following you? If this touched you, it's because these shadows needed to find you. Comment below, which mystery haunted you the most? Share with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe to the channel, but only if you have the courage to dive deeper into the dark.